Welcome back, YouTube. Kid Moto here. Just gonna bring you a first impressions ride after my 1K service. So I picked up my bike today after the 1K and clutch recall, and just wanted to kind of give a little bit of a first impressions of how I felt like service went for me, the kind of the experience at the dealership, and just kind of give you a little bit of a rundown of everything that that I experienced in that situation. So to kind of let you guys know, preface it, there's a dealer in my hometown, and a Harley dealer, and I did not buy my Harley from that dealer. I bought my Harley from a dealer about 150 miles away. I'd had a really good experience with my first Harley there, and found the bike that I wanted at that dealership, and so that's what I decided to do. I decided to buy, my bike from that dealer. But circumstances being what they were, when I could get my 1K service, the timing for me, I needed to do my 1K service at the dealer here in town, and so I opted to do that. Now, total transparency, I've not had any service done at this dealership before, and to be perfectly honest with you, I was pretty leery about it. Having not had any service experience at that dealership, I was worried that I wasn't gonna get the best service. I was worried about someone else working on my bike. Prior to that, on my Nightster, I did all the service on it myself, and I felt comfortable with everything that was done to the bike and where I was at with it, and so I felt pretty leery about it. I was pretty nervous, and so but I needed to do it. I needed to give it a chance. I knew I wanted to have the 1K service done at a dealer. I knew I did not want to do the 1K service myself. There's certain things I feel comfortable with and certain things I don't. Not only that, but I was really looking at the clutch recall. I had a clutch recall that I was working out on this one, and I knew that was beyond my skill set, beyond my tools, and so I opted to have the dealership do it. The difference, I think, between this time and all my other times at the dealership is that I went there, I dropped my bike off, and my wife was going to be a few minutes before she was coming to pick me up, and so I just had some time to spend at the dealership. So I was chatting with the service manager for a little while, and that really made me feel more comfortable. And then as I was just kind of walking around looking at the bikes, the owner came over and asked me if he could get me a new bike, and then I kind of laughed, and so I told him the story of my journey to this Road King Special, and he kind of laughed a little bit after I told him the story, because I told him it was his salesman's fault, but unfortunately they didn't have one for me that was going to be within kind of my price range, and so he said, well, I'll take that, but I was telling him, but I'm here to have my 1K service done and to have my clutch recall done, and he said, well, let's take care of you. In the meantime, the service or the sales guy walked up to me, and he decided he wanted to talk to me, and we talked for a few minutes, and he said, well, let's go see the bike. And so they brought me over to the service area where I had parked it, and they kind of did a little walk around, and then they started looking at some of the mods that I had done to it, and they were pretty interested, and they kind of it was nice. They liked what I had done. I kind of got that little bit of affirmation that you get when when you've done some things to your bike, and and they, essentially they like it. And so that's where I was at. I mean, I was in a situation where, the owner of the dealership and the sales guy were kind of, giving my bike a walk around, and they liked it. And that, again, like I said, that felt really good. A little bit of a, kind of a thumbs up for what I had done to it. And they specifically liked the Serial 3D lights that I installed in the back. And they also really liked the rickrack, I guess you'd call them, they're like bag attachments in the inside. So Harley has these, the saddlebag attachments that kind of screw in and they stick out about 2.5 inches, and they're convenient. They have a nice little handle on them, but truly they take up a lot of space in the top of the bag. And if you were going to fill a saddlebag or even put saddlebag inserts in, these things really get in the way. And so these little rickrack attachments that I got, essentially what these do is they take the place of those attachments, and they become, the kind of the new things. They're flat. They're kind of a nice aluminum, have a nice aluminum look to them. But the important thing is that they really streamline that whole thing for you. And so they make that essentially the inside of your saddlebag on the side where those are at, they make them flat, and that is awesome. And that's something that I was really, really happy about. So there is my hometown dealership right there, Andy's Harley Davidson. You can kind of see the name right there on the front. So pretty small dealership, but that's my hometown dealership, and they're the ones that completed the service. And so I my appointment was for Friday. I called a couple days ahead of time just to confirm, and they had me down in the books, and brought my bike there on the evening before the service. The service day was on a Friday, and dropped it off that night. Like I said, they talked to him for a little bit. They gave it a walk around, and one of the other things that I thought was really cool is when they were looking at my bike, he took and shook the rack a little bit on the back and looked at it, and he said for some reason these clips aren't attached the way they should be. And so he recognized that there was a piece, or there was a part to the clips that just weren't attached correctly. And he tried to attach them the right way, and he couldn't get them down, and said, you know what, we're going to have to fix these for you. We'll adjust them. I'll let the service manager know. And so they included that in there. Just, did a minor adjustment to the rack I have in the back, which was great because I actually use that to put my rickrack bag on the back. So it was really nice to, that they recognized something else. And I looked it over when I got my bill. There was no separate charge or service charge or labor charge or anything on my bill for them to make that adjustment and make sure that rack was attached on correctly, which again is something that is really awesome that they did. So at the end of the day, I have to say that I felt really good about the service that I got, and about pretty much the entire experience. I cannot complain. It was something that I was having a lot of anxiety about. Somebody else working on my bike, taking it to a dealership that I had not had any work done. I really didn't have any reason to not want it done at that dealership, but I didn't have any reason to know that they would do a good job. I knew no one in the service department, had very little experience except for with people from their parts department. And they'd always been, they've always been good to me, but they were really the only ones that I had any experience with. And so, and maybe it's just me, I was having some, maybe I was having some unwarranted anxiety about it, but still, it was just one of those things that, kind of was not making me feel all that great about it. But at the end of the day, they did exactly what they said they were going to do. They did the 1K service, going over all the critical fasteners, changing all the fluids. Did the clutch recall, and I would have to say my clutch feels a little bit different, and maybe it's psychosomatic, I don't know, but my clutch does feel different. I don't think it feels any different in terms of finding neutral. That's always a bit of a pain in the ass, but it does feel different. It feels like it's a little bit smoother into the gears. Get on the interstate here. Feels pretty smooth. The whole process of service and getting to know the guys, it was a good decision. I'm glad I did it, and I would definitely take my bike back there. Now, a person could get a manual and do these services themselves, which I'm going to really consider for the 5K. I probably will bring it back in for the 10K, because I'm thinking that the 5K I'm gonna hit that this season. So with the riding that I'm doing, the commuting back and forth to work, I'm fairly certain that without much trouble I will hit the 5K this season. Considering my riding season has just started, and I'm already at just over 1,000 miles that I've put on this bike. With the 128 miles it had when I bought it, so fairly certain that 5K is going to be a pretty easy goal. I might even hit 5K before MMM in September. We'll see, but at that point, I'll likely look into doing the 5K service myself, and then move forward with probably the 10K next season and have the dealer do that again, just to have a dealer really do all the critical fasteners and all of the things that really needs to be looked at, by a professional. That's certainly one thing that's going to affect my decision. But overall, I wanted to take you over and let you see my dealership, let you see give you a little bit of a lowdown on my thought process and what I went through when I did my service there, and why I did my service there. And it really was a good experience. I can't complain. And I brought my bike home. I inspected kind of all the things that I knew that I should be looking at. I checked my clutch mechanism and certainly checked how it was feeling. When I rode it out of the dealership, again, like I said, it felt a little bit different to me. I would have to say it felt more responsive. Maybe it clicked into gears a little bit easier. Now as I'm downshifting and coming to a stop, I can definitely feel that there's a little bit of a difference there. I can tell that the clutch has been adjusted a bit, and that there's been some changes to it. I don't think that's indicative of there being an issue or anything with the clutch. I just think that I can tell that there's a difference just from the riding that I'm doing. We get to know our bikes as we ride them, and certainly having that adjustment done is one of the things that needed to happen. Anyway, thanks for taking the time out and spending a little time with me this afternoon. afternoon. I guess I don't know when you're going to be watching this. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you hated the video, you know, feel free. You don't have to watch anything else. You can move on. If you want to continue to see more content from me, if you want to ride on the northern plains with me, that's what we're going to be doing. I would really like it if you'd subscribe. And at this point, this is Kid Moto, out.